The rain fell like punishment that night, relentless, cold, and blinding. Headlights sliced through sheets of water as a black Mercedes glided down the empty road. Inside sat a man who had everything: power, money, fame, yet absolutely no one. His name was Adrian Cole, CEO of one of the biggest tech empires in the country. But as he looked through the rain-smeared glass, all he saw was his reflection, tired eyes, untouched coffee, and the silence that followed him everywhere he went. Just then, a shadow stumbled into the road. He hit the brakes hard. Through the fogged-up windshield, he saw a young woman, drenched, trembling, clutching something tightly to her chest. She was barefoot, her hair plastered to her face. She raised a hand and knocked weakly on his window. "Please, my child is sick. I need help." The wipers froze mid-swipe, the world outside disappeared into gray. And for the first time in years, Adrian felt something other than loneliness. He felt a pull. Adrian hesitated only for a second before unlocking the door. The woman slid in, shivering uncontrollably, clutching a small boy who looked barely 3. His lips were pale, his breathing shallow. "Hospital," she whispered. "Please, he's burning up." No one stopped. Adrian started the car and sped off. The rain drummed violently on the roof as he drove through the winding roads toward the nearest hospital. The woman kept murmuring prayers under her breath, her fingers brushing through her child's damp hair. "What's his name?" Adrian finally asked. "Liam," she said softly. "He hasn't eaten since morning. I lost my job. We were walking to find help." Adrian said nothing. He only pressed harder on the accelerator. Something inside him twisted, guilt, maybe. Memories of his own past, of a hospital room long ago where he'd failed to save someone he loved. The car screeched into the hospital driveway. Adrian ran inside shouting for help. Within moments, nurses rushed the child away while the mother collapsed on the floor, sobbing. When the doctor came out an hour later, he said the words Adrian didn't expect. "He'll be fine. He just needs care, warmth, and rest." The woman, whose name he learned was Maya, looked at Adrian with trembling gratitude. "You saved him. I didn't know what I'd do if you hadn't stopped." Adrian shook his head slowly. "Maybe, you saved me too." That night, as Maya and Liam rested in the hospital bed, Adrian sat outside the ward, staring at his own reflection in the window again. But this time, it looked different. Less empty. Days passed. Adrian visited them again and again, bringing food, clothes, toys. Maya refused at first, embarrassed, but he insisted. He learned she was a single mother, abandoned when Liam was born. She worked double shifts at diners, barely earning enough for rent. When her son fell sick, she walked miles through the storm, desperate for anyone to stop. "I thought no one would," she said one evening. Adrian smiled faintly. "I almost didn't." Something changed in him after that night. The boardroom arguments, the sterile mansion, the million-dollar deals, none of it filled the ache he had carried for years. But a small boy's laughter did. Maya's gentle thank you did. One weekend, he invited them to his countryside house to recover. Liam ran through the gardens with joy while Maya helped him in the kitchen. Adrian hadn't heard laughter echo in those halls since his wife passed away 5 years ago. She had died in childbirth, taking both his child and his heart with her. Since then, Adrian had built an empire, not a life. But watching Maya read to her son under the sunset, something inside him thawed that he thought was gone forever. Weeks turned into months. He helped Maya find a job at his company, not out of pity, but because she had the fire he admired. She refused shortcuts, worked hard, earned respect. And soon, Liam called him Uncle Adrian. But the world noticed. Tabloids spun stories about the lonely CEO and the poor girl. Board members whispered. Maya got scared. "I don't belong in your world," she told him, tears in her eyes. "People will never let us be." Adrian stepped closer, voice trembling but firm. "Then let's build our own world, Maya. I don't care what they think. The night you knocked on my window, it wasn't fate saving you. It was fate saving me." Her tears fell, this time, not from pain. Months later, under a clear sky where rain once fell, Adrian stood beside Maya and Liam in a small garden behind his house. They planted a tree, Liam's tree, they called it. It symbolized second chances, new beginnings. As the wind whispered through the leaves, Adrian smiled for the first time in years. And if you looked closely, you could still see that rainy night reflected in his eyes. The night a lonely man stopped his car, and found a family. Sometimes, the people we're meant to save are the ones who end up saving us. Never ignore a cry for help, it might be the moment that changes everything.